We spoke to Boris Johnson last week on this programme and the Lib Dem leader Ed Davey just a few moments ago. Now it's Labour's turn. Pleased to say I'm joined in the studio now by the Labour politician who holds the highest elected office in the country, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. You wouldn't dispute that accolade, would you, Mayor?
No, I'll ask you to write my eulogy in 40, 50 years' time when it comes back. Congratulations on the launch of the show. I've never seen you look so smart, Tom. I'm really impressed. The team do a great job.
You're just trying to butter me up now. I want to ask you some serious questions,
Please.
I'm afraid, despite your charm, Mr Khan. You've announced the long-awaited opening of Crossrail today. People really have been waiting a long time for that. The Elizabeth line is going to be called. It will now open on May the 24th. The only problem is you've broken electoral law by doing it. Now the Tories are taking you to the Electoral Commission. Well,
look, first, listen, I quite like Grant Shapps. I don't blame him for doing what he's told by Boris Johnson and Conservative HQ. I didn't decide to announce the fantastic news of the Elizabeth line opening in 20 days. The Transport London Commissioner, a civil servant,
who works for you?
Well,
who works for you?
Well, the reason, operationally, he's in charge. The reason why I made the announcement today was for a good reason.
Your press officer
was
my WhatsApp this morning. Your press officer.
After TV had announced it. And that's really important. Why? Because Andy Biver's got 20 days now to get the rota sorted out, to get the train staff ready to do the drive-in, to get the staff on the platform to do the drive-in. And once he'd announced it's opening in 20 days' time, of course I'm going to celebrate. This will improve transport links. This will make sure that we've increased capacity by more than 10%. This will mean that there's more step-free stations, brand new trains. It'll boost our economic prosperity by £42 billion across the country. So, of course, as the Mayor, I'm going to amplify the great news from our commissioners. And what Grant should do
that's great. I'm sure Londoners wanted to hear that. The law,
and the rest of the country
is that you can't make policy announcements during the election campaign. You've just done it again. You're talking to me about it. Let me just read you the Local Government Act of 1986, the legislation you might be familiar with. During the pre-election period, a local authority shall not publish any material which, in or in part or whole, appears to be designed to affect public support for a political party. It's fairly open and closed.
Well, listen, look, Grant's made the complaint against the Commissioner. Let's wait and see what the Electoral Commission decides. We can have a process discussion, or we can try and amplify
breaking the law. I thought Labour cared about breaking the law. You've been talking a lot about that of late.
To be fair, Grant's doing what Boris asked him to do, which is to make a complaint, to deflect from the great news. Listen, in 20 days' time, we're going to have from Reading to Shenfield, going through London, a cracking new transport
I'm going to stop you from breaking
line.
the law for the third time on this programme. I want to ask you about the new Met Commissioner.
Sure.
You're recruiting for this post. It's still not filled. When are you going to get a new Met Commissioner?
Well, the Home Secretary recruits and has due regard for what I think. The advert went out and the deadline for applying is today. Last time we recruited, Amber Rudd was the Home Secretary. It took about 4 or 5 months from advert going out and the new Commissioner beginning. For the obvious reason, somebody who is successful has got to give notice and so forth. So in the meantime, the good news is the Deputy Commissioner has stepped up, which happened in 2017 as well. Craig stepped up, Mackie stepped up to be the Commissioner. That's happened this time. He's got a good team around him. Priti Patel and I will work closely together, collegially, to make sure we get the best person for the job. I think it's the best.
As you work closely to get the last one fired. May I ask you, why do you need to pay the new Commissioner £292,000 a year? That's £60,000 more than you paid Cressida Dick.
Well, Cressida Dick, to her credit, took less in salary than Bernard Hogan-Howe, who was the previous Commissioner before her.
Whose salary was £270,000. You offered to pay the new one £292,000.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the Home Secretary has a range of salaries for the new Commissioner. It's right that the package is commensurate with the responsibility the new Commissioner has. And if you could, listen, and the Home Secretary and I agree, we want the best possible person for the job. And by the way, he or she, when they get the job, can do what Cress did, which is to not take the full salary or all the things that a new Commissioner would be entitled to do. We have in London, though, made sure we're making more efficiencies, got value for money. At the same time, from City Hall, additional investment, we now have more than 33,000 police officers for the first time in London's history. OK.
Sticking with law and order, another issue of this election is, of course, Beergate. Your party leader, Keir Starmer, repeatedly said his beer and curry night with up to 30 aides in Durham was within the rules. Would you have done the same thing?
Oh, no, somebody doesn't drink as a Muslim. I hope my mum's not watching. I definitely wouldn't. If my mum is watching, or my mum,
orange juice and curry, you get the point of the question.
No, listen, by the way, you're comparing a grape with a watermelon.
No, just asking if you've done the same thing.
No, I haven't.
No, would you have done the same thing? Would you have had curry and orange juice or beer with 30 people during COVID restrictions?
Well, I can tell you, so during my election last May...
You had a party?
When I broke my fast, I did have a kebab roll when I was walking from Lahore Cry to the next road to knock on doors. There weren't as many people as you're alleging Keir Starmer had.
It's not me alleging it. So you wouldn't do the same thing that Keir Starmer's done.
But just to remind you, Tom, it's really important your listeners hear this. gathering for campaigning was allowed. And what Keir Starmer was doing is not unreasonably having supper with a bear. Very different from a culture in Downing Street, bring your own bottle, emails going out, having a karaoke machine, and the police finding our Prime Minister wasn't just a rule maker, but a rule breaker as well.
Why do you need to drink beer at your work gathering with Keir Starmer?
I don't, hasten to add, I don't drink beer.
Why do you need to drink it?
A lot of people are not unreasonable and have a beer with their curry. I mean, I've been to...
Yeah, but that's not a work event. How do you drink beer at work events? You drink beer at social events, surely?
Well, sure, both you and I have spent time in Parliament. And we both know people working in Parliament, both journalists.
You don't drink beer in the House of Commons?
Tom, we both know the lobby.
In the chamber of the House of Commons when you're working?
We both know. No, it's the workplace, Tom. Let's be reasonable. Listen, the House of Parliament is a workplace, right? For better or worse, people working, journalists, and politicians, present company excluded, do drink in the workplace. My point is simple. You're trying to have equivalence between Keir Starmer having a beer and a curry on one occasion, with our Prime Minister on a regular basis, emails going out, bring your own bottle, having a karaoke machine, are very, very different.
Well, let's see if it's a regular basis. At the moment, he's been prosecuted for one different event. I think this is the question that's bothering a lot of people, commentators on the left and the right, quite frankly. What is the difference between beer and curry for 30 people between meetings in the same room in a Durham office and a birthday cake for 30 people in the cabinet room in 10 Downing Street between meetings?
OK, so on one occasion, you've got the rule maker being the rule breaker. You've also got somebody who's done it on more than one occasion. You've got a situation where karaoke machine and singing is taking place. You've got a time where you're asking people to make massive sacrifices, but it clearly isn't a work occasion because we've seen the pictures, some of us have, in relation to the newspapers and the websites and stuff. And we also know the police started an investigation one occasion. We know, it's a matter of fact.
Right, forget all the other occasions. I've asked you the difference between those two specific events.
I've given you 6 examples of the difference.
You're talking about other events.
Well, OK, example one. More than one event, right? Well, that's one difference.
I'm asking you about two of the same events. 30 people in a room, curry and beer, 30 people in a camera room, birthday cake.
I think you make a fair point. If there was one occasion where an incident happened in Downing Street, I think it's a fair point to say there's equivalence. We now know, though, there were many occasions and a culture versus one occasion having a beer and a curry at the end of a campaigning day.
OK, Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, thanks for joining me.
Have me back. Great. With Grant Shapps, hopefully.
You'll be both welcome in this studio.